like shit. Not really, but sounded good. Actually sounds pretty good. That sounded good.
Here, Q5, where'd you woke up?
Hey, anybody on this frequency ever know an Ernie Miller?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I've got his call sign. He was my dad. When he passed away, I took over his call with the FCC. I applied for it and they gave it to me. But he was in the ham radio from the 60s all the way until he was gone in 2009. Over.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, it's not funny, but I was always going to give my dad's call because of his vintage, you know, and hell, by the time I got around to it, N8s are just about vintage, so and besides everyone likes Danger High Voltage because you can't forget it. You can hear me 10 years from now, oh yeah, Danger High Voltage, so I never did change.
Yeah, I used to have a call sign, a KS1SSN, because I'm an old sub sailor. And when he passed away, I only had that call for about a year, so when he passed away, I went immediately and applied FCC and got his call sign for remembrance, over.
Yeah, it could be KCYF was his call, Charlie Young Frank.
I've had this call for almost 40 years now.
I've been DHV for 40. Don't seem possible.
I moved to Hawaii in 1991 and I got reassigned a call sign because I had to renew my license 2008, and then I applied for that KS1SSN call sign. So, but I've had 4 calls in my life.
Yeah.
I've had 2. My original one was my novice call was KB8BT. My original novice call was WDFNO, Future Naval Officer, and I went in the Navy at 18. So, and I kept that for, I don't know, till 1991. No, so I moved to Norfolk and I got KC4 BXL, over. That was back in the days when you had to, when you moved, you had to, any length of time, you had to change over that call area.
I know, I absolutely hate that they...
Yeah. Man, I had a guy down on 3816 this evening, was in northern Ohio on a MLT 43-foot vertical, and he sounded like he was talking to me next door, over.
Yeah.
I upgraded this radio here that I'm on now. I love it. I don't know why everybody's selling theirs already. Going to QRZ.net, you see them being sold. Everybody's selling them, but I got the FT991A, and I really like the radio.
And they need to be a minute late. I gotta go get a shot of coffee. That ice cream makes you tasty.
Radio.
Oops.
Okay, what was that?
I just heard a bad 991A. I mean, every time I hear one, they talk beautiful, over.
Oh, well, that's what I'm on. And it's, my YL bought it for me. I've been looking at radios, and I was using a Yaesu FG 857D, and she said, well, let's get you a new radio. And then this is the one I researched them, and this is the one I wanted. And I don't know, I live 30 minutes from GX Engineering over. So we jumped on the bike and rode over because it fit in my trunk on the bike, and we rode over, and she bought one for me. Nothing wrong with that. Like I said, my wife's seen my radios out there, and I hooked them up in November. They've been sitting in a box for 10 years. She goes, how old are those things? And I told her, buy you a new radio. So for the price point, I bought that.
Yeah. Well, I got a Tempo 1 here I picked up. I found on Facebook at Marketplace. Got the radio for $20. And I found me a matching power supply and matching speaker. I found it for $50. And then I found actually the digital readout that plugs into it. And I just put up the other night on receive. I went ahead and bought me a Variac, and I brought it up real slow in the course of about 3 hours, and got some receiving on a little portion of meters, but 80 meters it not getting anything, and 10 meters not getting anything.
Oh, nothing at all?
Just some static, that's it.
Yeah.
I wasn't hooked to an antenna either. I had a piece of wire stuck in the PL 259 connection in the back.
Oh, the SO 239? Yeah, I got a heck of a deal up at the ham engine. I walked in there, gate 2, and this guy was sitting there, and he had a Flex 1000 with the cover off of it. And I don't know why he had the cover off of it, but he did. And I said, does the thing work? He said, yeah, I just upgraded to a 6400. I said, what do you want for it? He said, $10. So I got a Flex 1, the 100 watt amp, and antenna tuner. I'll take an antenna tuner in it for $10. Over.
Oh man, that's good. Like me today, I picked up 50 foot around $45 for $50, and it's been garage kept. It's been in a garage for years, and I picked up some VHF radios and some testing equipment, a signal generator, and a 100 hertz to 1 gigahertz frequency counter, and a 4310 watt meter, and I got a whole two antennas, a 3-element 2-meter antenna, and I guess an 8 or 9 element, 8 or 10 element 70 centimeter antenna, and everything I got, I only got $100 wrapped up in everything.
You can't beat that for all that equipment. I remember my uncle, y'all might have heard him before, K4GZM, Joe Miller. He's been around since 1951 on
stay alive or necessity, you know. I've always done my own work. I never worked mechanic for anybody. Well, when I worked in the quarries and stuff, you know, we worked on things, but that's different. That wasn't like doing auto work. I helped mechanics, and we did mechanics. We was always working on something. But no, I'm just doing it because it needs to be done. I need a vehicle, and it costs so much to hire out or to buy a vehicle. I put about 3,000 miles a year on my 4-wheel vehicle, like going groceries and different things, just shopping, whatever. And my motorcycle, I ride sometimes. I put 10,000, 15,000 on a year. I just ride. But anyhow, I needed to get something going here. I'm just working on them to get them going back up. But I hate to buy another one. And for what they're costing right now, they're way over book price. And like I said, I only put 3,000 miles on a year on the vehicle, so I don't need one that bad. But I got to have it running. I got to have it to pass inspection. So yeah, I'm just doing it for myself.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, it's much cheaper, I guess. A whole lot cheaper, probably, to ride that motorcycle would be that car. But sometimes you need a car, especially when the weather's very bad. And it's very cold and slating or very icy and conditions and stuff. But anyhow, yeah, you save a bunch in fuel cost running a motorcycle there than you would an automobile. And you could use a motorcycle for a lot of short runs too. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I see what you're doing there. Oh yeah, cars, used car prices are, my gosh, they're almost like a new car price.
Yeah, I seen a pickup sitting down along the road here. It was an extended cab. It was a Chevy. It looked pretty nice. And I went by it a time or two, and I thought, well, I'll at least stop and look at it. And I pulled in, and I seen on the windshield there, he had a sticker on 22,000. I thought, man, I don't know, because, you know, used, and I didn't even go and check the mileage or nothing. If it had real low mileage in this day and age, I guess that'd be all right. But I mean, since it's been a while since I bought a new one, but I never paid that much even for. But now it doesn't seem like it's anything. That for one that's got 100,000 miles on it. And I went on. I thought again, like I said, for the little bit I use it, I need something a little bit more reasonable. I just hate to do all this work. I'm just getting to the point where I'm still up and around and everything, but man, I've been on my feet here all these days, and so I'm a stressed one. But I ride all year long, but like you said, when it gets icy and snowy out, the motorcycle, it just doesn't go. That's no good. If it's cold, I'll bundle up. Icy, I can't make it. I just didn't want to lately. I let it set, and I got up under it as I'm working on it. I thought it'd be rusted out underneath, but it's not. It sat there, and it stayed real good. The trouble was sinking down into the ground where it was frame was almost touching the ground on it. It's an old 1980, but anyhow, I think I'm going to be able to run it for a while. The only trouble is I'm up here in the mountain. I should have four-wheel drive in the wintertime. That's going to be the drawback of running that, but I'll get by.
Oh, yeah, get you some cleats, get you some chains or something like that, put on it, you'll do fine. Tips before it comes in, and you'll be okay. And I get it. And the weather I was talking about, icy and cold's one thing, but I'm talking about, real cold. That freezing rain, man, that's murder out there on a motorcycle in that freezing rain. Yeah, that's rough. I got caught out one time. It turned as cold snap one afternoon. And I got back, it was blowing snow across the roads. I even had to pull off one time and let the snowplow go by. I was glad to get home that day. I don't like to be out when it's that bad on it. And that was a road bike, too. These tires weren't any good for that. I got caught out one time. Like I said, the weather changed pretty drastically. It was cold when it left, don't get me wrong. But then it comes a snowstorm. And, that was not a good time to be out on a motorcycle. I was the only one that I seen. I wasn't waving any motorcycles. Yeah, I bet you're right on that. I bet you're on one out there. Yeah, I've heard true stories where people they travel 300 or 400 miles in below freezing temperatures, and then it was raining. Not freezing in the air, froze tips.
Yeah, I just didn't have a reason to, but that was the day I got back on the motorcycle, like you said, about that day after I got back. Now, it wasn't freezing rain, it was snowing, but, like I say, it came in quick, so the roads were still warm enough that most places it wasn't freezing on the road yet. On the bridges, you really had to watch, and certain places where the snow was blowing across the road real hard. Like I say, it was snowing real hard and then blowing, so it was blowing across the road, and the road was white in those spots, but the rest of the places it was wet. But the air was real cold, and it's throwing that water up under my fenders. Well, as it was doing that, the fenders were cold and they were freezing. It built ice up under there, and there was just enough room for the tire to turn. Well, I crossed a bridge one place, and the joints at the bridge were rough, and it hit there, and the suspension went down, and the wheel locked up. It's locked the front wheel up going across that bridge, and I slid for a ways with just the front wheel on, just for a moment. But then it, it balanced out there and got to rolling smoothly again, and I kept going, but it was rough. Like I said about the picture, when I got home, I had ice the whole way up the front of my pant legs and all over me, and I took a picture of it. I still got it on my camera there somewhere. But I was glad to get home that day.
Roger, I bet you was. Yeah, it took you a while to get warm back up till you got home. Probably turned the heat up in the house. Yeah, something else.
Now you get sick. You can get sick too like that, being out in that mess.
I don't know. I don't have that problem too much. I worked out all my life. I'm kind of accustomed to it. But again, I had the clothes on. I have some. I'm not even going to tell you what I pay for the clothes. I mean, it's horrible. I didn't pay as much for my first motorcycle as I did some of the clothes I got to wear. Now, I could take it as far as the temperature. Now, don't get me wrong. There's sometimes my hands would get cold with that one bike, and that one I was on that day did not have heated hand grips. So, and it didn't have any guards in front of the hands either. So that was, the hands get a little bit, but I don't have problem with feet or anything. So I keep riding, my feet stay okay. And, but yeah, it was something. But no, I've often said, when I get back home, I pull in the garage and take the clothes off, let them hang out there and dry stuff. I'm colder walking from the garage into the house than I am going down the road. That's how good the clothes are that I have.
Oh, okay, Roger, yeah. Yeah, you probably, if you hadn't been out there moving in the cool air, you probably would have burned up in them clothes.
Well, that's a fact. My work clothes, I had Carhartt, and they call it Arctic wear. It's the black line stuff. If I was working, I couldn't have it zipped up, the heavy coat. But we worked up high on the catwalks and stuff on the mines, the beltways and things like that. And you was out in the open air, you had to have good clothes. And I could take her with those clothes on, but if it wasn't real cold and windy, I couldn't have them zipped up tight and stuff. I had to have enough opened up to let some air in. But when I needed to, I could zip up and button up and stuff, and I could warm it, like you just said, especially when you're working. Oh, I thought it did, but that wasn't always that I was working that hard, so when I needed to have something that I could zip up tight and stay warm, I could. It's amazing the quality of the clothes there is, but they're not cheap. But again, I was working right out in it, and I had to have something, so I bought good clothes when I was working, because like I said, I worked outside most of the time, the last 20 years of my life anyhow, and I bought good clothes for the motorcycle too, so I could ride in all temperatures. It just makes a difference whether you enjoy it or whether you're just out there suffering and getting by.
Yeah, KG, 4H, Roger on that. Y'all have very many ice storms up there in the winter time?
It's been dropping off over the last years here. I'm going to say the last 10 to 15 years. We've been having a lot easier winters, but before, yeah, it was just every day. I remember the last time I was working maintenance in a hospital at the time, and I was one of the guys that would be out shoveling the sidewalk and stuff. In 1993, it snowed, I think, almost every day that winter, and a lot of it, I had barely a path shoveled off the road here where I could back my pickup in to get off the road, and I shoveled every day, and you couldn't even see his pickup. And of course, when they plow, they shut the hole at night, and I had to shovel it out in the morning. I had to park along the road with the four-ways on in the evening after I got home from work, and shovel my way back in after I shoveled all day at work. So the one winter, yeah, it used to be pretty bad, but to answer your question, not as much now. Not as much freezing rain now, but we do get it, yes. It's just we're not having near the winters we used to have. I don't know down your area if you have much winter anyhow. You may. I'm unsure. I don't get down that way. But yeah, we're not having near the winters we did, but we still do have freezing rain, yes.
Yeah, Roger. Well, it seems like it's been slacking off too here. They've had some pretty mild winters. We may have two, three, sometimes 4 weeks of real cold weather, real cold. And usually that's in the latter part of January into the first part of February. Somewhere in that range, it'd be pretty cold. It can be, a few light snows, nothing really major most of the time. Unless the front comes in, we get dumped on sometimes, but it's not that often. And but back in the 50s, back in the 60s, and some part of the 70s, it was some winter times. I'm trying to think during the winter time in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. not every year, but every 2 or 3 years, you know, it could get pretty rough. I remember that, but not too bad in the 90s, and so far here in the the 2000s on up. It seems like it's not near as bad as it has been, which I'm very grateful for that. If there is a such thing as global warming or climate change,
which makes him a Messiah, we're already witnessing.
things like I was born in 55, so up to about 60-some. Driving there in the early 70s, and yeah, the winters could get bad, and it's been rough up through the 80s here. And I said that one in 93. Yet we were after that. It seemed like they started to taper.
Spoke and the scribe wrote, the prophet spoke, the very breath of God. It is God.
Les manifestations et rassemblements publics ne sont désormais plus autorisés dans la province du Nord Kivu, dans l'est de la République démocratique du Congo. Décision des autorités militaires de cette province après la mort de 7 policiers.
mutumin da ake zargi da laifin caka wukar da yi Hadi Matar ya masanta tuhumar da ake masa na yunkurin cin kai shugaban Amurka ma
par les groupes armés Maï-Maï associés aux manifestants.
Par la MINUSMA, c'est l'organisation onusienne qui centralisera dorénavant les demandes.
ربط الكاتب البريطاني المعروف سلمان رشدي le legge di Samuel de Clacler de Goulimia ambele gulsa
Things you've already put on the table, because sometimes this is the reason why I talk so much about revelation. Set aside all the things you've already put on the table.
Going to make some means. And it says, and the ravens brought him flesh.
Ya de regreso, estamos cantando y alabando al Señor y meditando su palabra. Todo eso al mismo tiempo. Qué bonito, ¿verdad? Qué maravillosos los cantos.
No credit check, no term contract, no commitment. So it's easy. So yes.
With its innovative, state-of-the-art facilities, storing assignment is unlike anything you've seen before.
The wages of sin is death. But the gift of God, the free gift of God is eternal life through Jesus Christ our Lord. Verse 3. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing out.
Create some kind of panic and stuff. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I don't see it being that drastic either. Now you see on the computer and the news there, these big lakes are drying up. Well, that's true, but I don't know. On the other hand, they're saying up north everything's melting and we're going to have big floods. But now you've got lakes down here that are going dry. So what do you such long periods of time? One person is long enough to see a couple cycles of it to see what's really going on. So, well, you can be told about anything there, and you don't know what to believe because you've never lived it. So I just sort of take it with a grain of salt. I know one thing, though. I sure am glad that whatever it was, global warming or just a heat wave, whatever it was here this summer, I'm glad it let up and we were having some cooler weather. How about you?
Yeah, not real cold, but a little cooler. Yeah, a little bit cooler. The way it's been today, I could take that year round, but I don't know if that's possible. Man, we got 65 degrees right now, man. That's really nice outdoors. It was in the 70s there this evening before the sun set, and it was just beautiful with a light breeze coming out of the south. Yesterday afternoon. But we've always had climate change. This Earth has always had climate change, and we always will have climate change. Along this Earth is still here. That's going to happen, and we'll have up cycles and down cycles on the temperatures, and we'll have cycles where it rains more some years and rains less some years. And I know they've been having a lot of flooding in some states, and they've had a lot of flooding in places where they normally don't get much rain, like Arizona and over there in Saudi Arabia, where they got the oil at, and they've been having floods over there, and a lot of other in China they've been having floods in parts of China. And God, good gracious, it's been raining where they normally haven't been getting any rain, and it's been dry in places where sometimes they get rain. I understand that Lake Mead's drying up, and lakes out in California, I've seen some out there in the Big Bear area that I watch about every day. It's drying up, and it's just going through its dry cycle, but they'll start getting rains eventually, and they'll have more than they can handle. They'll start having mudslides out there. They'll be grateful they're not having mudslides, but they're having fires at times in California. They have a lot of fires when it gets real dry, so that's just part of the cycle. And got a lot of volcanoes too. There's about 3 or 4 dozen volcanoes that are pretty active and spewing a lot of stuff up in the atmosphere, and that's probably got something to do with it also.
Yeah, I would think so too. Yeah, it would make it cloudy, and maybe it would make it rain here or hold the rain back one way or the other. I'm not up on that stuff that good. But yeah, you talked about the lakes. The one lake you said there, Lake Mead, I've seen that on my computer here. Boy, they're finding a lot of bodies and stuff now that disappeared many years ago.
That's why really good Don Julio tends to be better for people. It's clear as opposed to... And same with your gins. There's a variety of quality. Some days it might handle it.
With the help of others to examine the time frame we're living in. Keep your eyes on Jerusalem. For there you will see the city of Jerusalem compassed about with armies. When that happens, you will know that the abomination that maketh desolate, that makes void the entire world from God's protection.
Questi obiettivi iniziali, al quale maggiore che più, un gruppo con 4 cose maggiori. Con
your local limit is exceeded at times. Anon 8000 and the Homebrew app. That's absolutely correct, Bruce. Go ahead.
And also in the early morning, the noise is around 7. Yesterday I spent a half an hour on 40 meters making just a couple of QSO with the state side, but very low signal, so no gut conditions. 80 meters is the same. On 80 meters I have a simple inverted V size dipole cut for the CW portion, but also on 80 meters it's very difficult. Autumn and winter is the time for de-axing on 40 and 80 meters. That's the story. Anyway, hope to catch you next time on 40 meters propagation permitting Paul. 7-3, good luck and good EX, my friend. Victor Alpha 3, Jupiter X-ray Papa, IK5 or P. Sao Paulo.
The 3 days from now, we also will have all the over 30s again, so that's the situation. And no rain, that's the worst thing of all, because that's about 11, 12 weeks now without rain, and that's really a serious problem. Okay, very good, Bruce. Thanks very much for stopping by. We'll talk to you a little bit longer next time. I'll be around tomorrow morning around the same time, so maybe we'll have more time tomorrow then. And you have a great rest of the Sunday. What a perfect finish of the Sunday with the nice weather you reported. VK4YS, EL55BW.
Maybe one up on the French Guiana. Also, we are the rocket area for the source space. Okay, Mike, thank you. Just for info, WX-ray very better today. We're picking maximum probably around 26, 27. Then we are yesterday 14 over.
The last time I cut it was maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and it grew maybe. We ran that right through until 1996. Then we went back on the spanners, QSL.
Yeah, I can probably understand that because mine was the same. It was nice when I first laid it out. I've got this is at the back of the workshop. I've got a 30-foot workshop by 8 foot, and the back 12 I've made into the radio shack and that, and I've done it in about 2016, and it was beautiful, but now it's just getting a bit cluttered. I should have made it bigger, actually. I'm a collectomania. I don't like, well, I buy things, and I don't like selling things. I've still got an old 101ZZ in here, a couple of other little radios, and I've got an old 707, which is one of the first Yetis I ever had back in the 80s. Got a nice 707 lineup. The power supply ATU and the memory unit and the VFO. Absolutely mint. And we do follow the old lady up most of the time, but we've had this 5000 since about 2014. I had a 1000 MP Mark 5, and I run that 5000 next to the 1000 and the Mark 5 for quite some time, and we're very